Hi, I'm D.C.I Dyllan Justice, and this is a day in my life. I never sleep well. Whether I'm there or not, my mind is always on the job. This morning begins with me on the sofa and my phone vibrating. It's my boss. I hate that smug bastard. He thinks he's better than me. Despite working a job with a clear chain of command, I despise authority. I'm a maverick, a freewheeler, a daredevil. I do things my own way. The boss tells me someone's been murdered and he wants me at the crime scene as soon as possible. Just to stick it to him, I grab myself a quick cup of coffee and take a shower. Then I throw on last night's clothes, because I don't have time to mess around choosing a new outfit. The moment I arrive at the crime scene, I start barking out orders. We need a full tech team here. I want everyone wearing gloves and booties. We can't afford to make mistakes, people. Watson, we need to keep the press back. Get a perimeter going. You, bring me a double shot salted caramel macchiato. And if you bring me decaf, you're fucking fired. Everyone else is already on scene. They say they're doing the best, but it's not enough. They need a leader. My rank, pure sense of masculine pride and undeniable charisma tell me I'm in charge. I'm a feminist though. My partner is a woman, and sometimes I even let her drive. Once I'm sure everyone's doing their jobs properly, it's time for me to get to work. Some poor bugger's been killed, and if there's one thing I hate more than my boss, it's a murderer. It's pretty close though. The first thing I need to do is talk to the Vic's wife. Well, actually, the first thing I need to do is grab another coffee, then talk to the Vic's wife. I make my way over to their house, prepared to break the news. My years of experience have trained me to do this as gently as possible. I'm afraid your husband's dead. He was killed last night, and his body was dumped in a river. The wife is, understandably, saddened by that news. I give her a moment to compose herself, and then I do what I came here to do. I start by asking her where she was last night. She doesn't seem to like that question very much. She tells me she was working late, and there are any number of witnesses that can confirm this. Then I ask her if there are any problems in her marriage, and she doesn't like that question very much either. Well, I'm a cop. It's my job to ask the hard questions. Finally, I ask if her husband had any enemies. She says she can't think of one person that'd want to hurt him. Basically, she was no help at all. After that, it's over to the Vic's place of work. Apparently, he was a bit of a tree hugger, employed by an hippy-dippy alternative energy company. I spend a few hours talking to his colleagues, who end up being more help than his wife was. I come away armed with a suspect, a local politician, who apparently was in a bit of a feud with old Vic. On the way to my car, I receive another phone call. This time, it's Radcliffe, the forensics guy. You'd think forensics would be a full team, but it ain't. Radcliffe is our entomologist, anthropologist and pathologist all in one. He's a bit of a whiz kid. If something happened to a body, Radcliffe can tell you what happened, how it happened and where it happened. He's 28 years old, but in what he thinks is an attempt at male bonding, I always tell him that he looks 12. It's actually my way of undermining him, so he never forgets who's in charge. He tells me cause of death was blunt force trauma to the occipital with a large rounded object, and that he found copper particulates in the wound. I tell him to speak English. He says the Vic died from being bashed over the head with a copper pipe. After examining the stomach contents, he says the last meal the Vic ate was veggie bacon with a side of sweet potato fries. I know the place that serves that meal. You know who likes to eat there? The politician. I hang up on Radcliffe without saying goodbye. I hate him. Forensics don't solve crimes. Gut feelings solve crimes. At this point, time is of the essence. I need to talk to that politician. I know where it'll be, so I jump in my car and get over there as fast as possible. I don't believe in speed limits. They're for the public, to keep them in check. they're not designed for someone like me. Truthfully, I'm looking forward to bringing this guy down a peg or two. I hate politicians even more than my boss. They really think they can tell you what to do. When I arrive, I can see he's in the middle of an important looking conversation. I interrupt and tell him we need to talk. This is a subtle technique designed to throw him off his game. You learn these things when you've got as much experience as I do. I ain't messing around anymore. I tell him he's a person of interest in a murder inquiry. I ask him straight to his face if he did it, and he denies it, but I can tell he's lying. You know how? All politicians are liars. When I tell him this, he calls security and has me ejected from the building. Personally, I think this just makes him look guiltier. I'm gonna get this bastard. On my way back to CID, I receive a call from my ex-wife. She's not actually my ex-wife, we're just separated for now. I'm living in a different house, and she's got a new roommate called Brad, who's a male model. It's no big deal. Apparently, I missed another one of my son's football games. I tell her I'll make sure I catch the next one, but I probably won't. She asks me when I'm meeting her and the kid for a meal. I tell her 5 PM, even though I know full well I won't get out until 8. No sooner have I sat down at my desk when the door to my boss's office flies open. He's screaming at me, saying I was crazy for approaching the politician that way. Do I have any idea how much money he's given to the department? I tell him I don't care. I was just doing my job. He says I'm suspended and I should go home. Doesn't matter, it's no big deal. This happens all the time. I just continue to work the case on my own, and when I solve it, I won't be mad anymore. After that, it's back to my soulless, empty apartment. I don't have the motivation to cook. I grab myself leftover pizza from the fridge and pour myself a large glass of red wine. I need at least 1 glass a day, just to dull my senses. Apart from if it's been an hard day, then I need at least 3. But when you're a cop, when you do what I do, when you face down the criminal underbelly on a daily basis, they're all hard. I spend hours going through evidence, sifting through it, trying to get to the bottom of it, trying to find out the truth, because that is what I do. Eventually, it's past midnight. I lie on the sofa, but as hard as I try, my mind just won't switch off. Somehow, I don't think I'm going to sleep very well tonight.